Hey friends, it's Kooshy Monster. In this video we're going to be talking about 8 Xbox 360 shoot-em-ups. So let's go! 3 out of the 8 releases are local to the United States, however the other ones are imports. And just like the other videos, we're going to put the rating in the upper left hand corner here so you know what you're getting into. So let's get into our first game, which is Akai Katana. In the game Akai Katana, you can actually play 2-player local co-op if you want, and it's a horizontal bullet hell shoot 'em up that moves very quickly. It's hard to appreciate everything that's going on as there's just so much going on with the bullet dodging, which can get crazy after about 5 minutes of gameplay. The gameplay you can see is very beautiful, and the explosions are gorgeous when you shoot the baddies. The soundtrack is also rocking, which helps the manic gameplay as well. As you're playing through the game and you're holding down the A button to shoot, there's this little outrigger that you have that's gathering floating green energy symbols with you. And when you stop firing, it'll actually all collect to you, which then when you've gathered enough of that, you can go into Berserko mode and you have some extra damage output. You'll also get to doing some combo damage, which is great for helping your score. You also have the obligatory bomb at your disposal in this game as well. You do have unlimited continues as well, which I did end up using quite a bit. Both the Origin and the Slash modes have a novice setting as well, which does help out quite a bit, but that's not an option for the Climax mode. You can adjust the number of lives you get for each continue as well. Overall, it's a very fun game that I'm happy I have in my collection. Now we're going to talk about Raiden Fighters Aces. With this, you actually get 3 games in here. One of the nice things about this is all 3 of the games you can play co-op, so you can bring a friend. Each of the games lets you change the difficulty range from practice, very easy, easy, normal, arcade, hard, and very hard as well. There's a couple different gameplay modes here as well. The beginning is normal, boss rush, expert, and a mode called full run. There is a score attack mode here as well, but its menu is in a different spot than all the other game modes. The credits you can adjust from 1 to 9 as well, and there's also just a free play mode, so if you die a lot while you're playing, you can just continue indefinitely. One quick thing, don't wreck your thumb here. The X button will actually do a rapid fire for you automatically. The gameplay scrolls left and right a little bit as you move on the screen, so it's a nice little touch. The one thing I'm not a big fan of here is the music, and it seems very fast and very repetitive and a little bit tinny sounding. This is probably due to the authentic reproduction of the games though. It's just how they were back in the day. The pixely graphics are nice to see on here as well. The game with all the display options definitely lets you have those nostalgia goggles on. Next game we're going to talk about is Otmedius Excellent. The game's premise is basically there's buxom ladies riding on spaceships. Okay. Difficulty options are practice, easy, normal, and expert. There's also an assistance mode, which helps you during gameplay with power-ups for newer players. You can play co-op both locally and online here as well. It's definitely slower paced here at the start, but it picks up very quickly. For bosses, if you haven't beaten them in a given amount of time, they just kind of let you go. You don't have to worry about the floor or ceilings here either. Some bosses just take a few passes to learn with their patterns, so don't expect to ace through this game on the first go-round. The text on the screen is all in English, so you do get a chance to read it. However, all the voice acting is not in English. Under the settings, if you don't want to hear the voice acting, you can mute it by turning the volume all the way. We're going to talk about a game called Bullet Soul. The first thing that struck me about the game is the soundtrack. And I'm not really one to enjoy a lot of video game music, but there's definitely some rockin' tunes going on here. There are 3 characters to select from at the start of the game, and each has their own strengths. The firepower output, once you get a few upgrades, is a little bit bonkers, but it does come more in line with the game as you progress through the levels. The 3D backgrounds definitely add to the game and they look great. There's plenty of hidden little things here to blow up, and you get bonus points for those as well. An interesting feature of the game is when a baddie goes down, their bullets actually fade away as well, so it gives you an easier time to dodge things. You do have 2 different shot modes here, a spread mode and then a focus fire. It definitely helps for taking down those harder bad guys. Overall, I really enjoyed this solid addition to the collection. Now we're going to talk about Dodonpachi Resurrection. And there's a couple different options when you're starting up this game. You have Arrange Mode A, B, Xbox 360, as well as Novice. Under the settings for each of the games, you can actually select the number of lives, the difficulty level, and when you get new lives as well. Like many of the other games in this list, you can run this in Tate mode as well. As for co-op, you can play 2 players on the Novice and the Xbox 360 mode, but not the other 2. For the Novice and the 360 option, you actually have 3 characters you can choose from, each with their own shooting style. In addition to the different characters, you have a couple different styles of play as well that you can choose from. A bomb style, a power style, and then a strong style, which is the combination of the first 2. The graphics are beautiful and the explosions are glorious, but there is a bit of a slowdown in some spots, which can give you an advantage when you're trying to fly through some of the more complex bullet fields. In the gameplay, you have 2 different shooting modes, a spread shot and a focus fire. The focus fire will actually repel some of the other laser shots in the game as well, so it's almost like a defensive mode too. You have bombs as well, and there's a hyper mode which actually lets you really throw down the hurt on the bad guys. It's another great addition to the collection, and I'm glad I own this one. Next game we're going to talk about is called Espgaluda 2 Black Label. At the start of the game, you get your choice of 3 characters. Under the option settings, you can change the number of lives you get from 1 to 5, as well as the difficulty option from 1 to 4. As far as controls go, X is your turbo fire, A is your regular shot, RB is your shield, and super shot, which can definitely be a lifesaver. The B button does do a slowdown mechanic that helps you dodge bullets a little bit. In Novice mode, if you get hit, your shield will kick in automatically and will save you from an untimely death. The techno dance music lends to the play, but it doesn't get too heavy as you're going through the levels. The story seems to be about angels or flying magicians or something along those lines. I don't understand the language, so laugh at me all you want, but hey, I enjoy the shmup for what it's worth. One other thing, this dude, the guy in the Matador in his shorts, just doesn't look right. The difference between the regular Xbox 360 and the Black Label games on here seems to be that on the Black Label games, when you kill a baddie, their bullets disappear as well. And there's some kind of deflection of bullets here too, but that may just be the character I selected. Overall, it's another great shoot 'em up for the Xbox 360. Now we're going to talk about a game called Mushihimesama. The theme through this game is very nature. All the enemies seem to be bugs or insects of some type, shape, or form. It's a colorful game to take in, and the bullets are always very easy to see on the playfield. One of the things about this game, though, is that it makes my 360 sound like it's about to take off. Like no other game does that. It's very easy to get trapped somewhere on the screen, as even on easy, the shots tend to fill up the playfield very quickly. Both the 1.5 and the Arrange mode have 3 difficulty options: Original, Maniac, and Ultra. The soundtrack lends a lot towards truly hectic gameplay as well. There is also a 2-player co-op option here as well, so you can bring a friend to play with. As far as options go, you can change the wallpaper border with 13 different options. There is also a zoom feature here as well, so you can get the gameplay to fill the screen more vertically if you want. You can also change the life and bomb stock under the config menu when you begin normal play under either mode. There are 2 different shots for each character, a focus fire and a more spread shot, which covers much more of the screen. There is a little bit of slowdown going on here, like more than I would have thought, especially on the 3rd and 4th stages, but it's not unmanageable. Next game we're going to talk about is Muchi Pork and Pink Sweets. We'll start first with Muchi Pork. Like many of the other games, you can change the wallpaper as to your liking here as well. Getting into the settings here, you can actually change the number of lives from 1 to 6 too. It's a cute 'em up with a ton of stuff going on the playfield. So much slow that at some points the game has some slowdown happening as well. The background music is definitely poppy and upbeat, which aids to the overall cuteness of the game as a whole. It's cute and it's fun to play, but overall it's nothing out of the ordinary. The story, from what I gather, is you're a pig girl flying a hog, saving other pigs. It's different and it's definitely a unique take on the game, but okay. Now we're going to talk about the other half of the game called Pink Sweets. One of the popular settings throughout all these games is you can change the wallpaper. There's 40 different options here to choose from as well, one of them being just blank if that's what you prefer. Starting it up, much like Muchi Pork, you can change the player stock from 1 to 6 lives. The difficulty options here are super easy, very easy, easy, normal, hard, very hard, super hard, and unbelievable. The game also has a secondary difficulty as well, which Looks like a speed setting of sorts. Minimum slow, very slow, slow, fast, very fast, maximum fast, and unforgettable. It's definitely a bright and colorful game, and it's got a bit of a risque side with the characters and the enemies as well. It's overall very saccharine and sweet with the cuteness and the lovey-dovey roses factor, so there's a lot going on when you're playing the game visually, so much so that it slows down. The music helps keep the game pace with a swift, bouncy beat. The background goes by in almost a blur with so much going on, and you're trying to dodge or collect at the same time, and it can get to be a bit confusing on which one is which. Overall, it's a fun game to add to the collection. Alright friends, that's 8 physically released shoot-em-ups for the Xbox 360. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have anything to add, put them in the comments below. And other than that, have a good one. Be good to each other. Thanks for watching. Blah, blah, blah. Galuda.